All right. So we've done some teams. We've had some fun and all that. We've done 11 of these. So we're kind of one third of the way there because I'm doing 34 baseball ones, 34 baseball what ifs. I know you're saying, wait a minute, there are 30 teams. Yes, there are 30 teams. But the fact of the matter is that there were some teams, from before. Like I'm doing two Dodger ones because of one for Brooklyn, one for LA. I'm doing like the New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants. Montreal and Washington are separated, one of each, and a few other ones. But anyway, let's talk about a team that seems to rarely make the playoffs, and when they do, they actually pull off rabbits out of their butts. I'm talking about the Miami Marlins. I still kind of call them the Florida Marlins because, they're kind of in Florida. But the fact is that the Miami Marlins have had some great history winning World Series and all that, but only when they make the playoffs. And when they make the playoffs, they go to the World Series. Otherwise, they're just bad. It's just basically the Washington Senators mentality. So, anyway, let's talk about the 2023 Miami Marlins. You've got Jeff Diamond. You've got one man. You've got a hat, a bat, and that's definitely not all. You got the bleachers. Got from spring to fall. You got a dog, a drink, and that umpire's call. What do you want? Let's play what if. Okay. Okay. Cutter, cutter. Do some what ifs. Okay, okay, cutter, cutter, do some what ifs. So, let's talk about the Marlins franchise. The Marlins franchise is big because Miami, or well, in Florida in general, always had the Grapefruit League for minor league teams to play in Florida. So, anyway, the minor league teams would converge on Florida. Many teams like the Blue Jays with Dundee and in Montreal with Palm Beach would do that. But yeah, Florida wanted a major league team. People are like, why don't they give Florida, the state of Florida, a baseball team? I don't know. But anyway, propositions were that both Seattle and the White Sox were narrowly headed to Tampa alongside San Francisco before they got saved at the 11th hour. And they had that 93 season in which they demolished everybody, but in essence, they couldn't finish the job. I don't remember if I talked about them or not. Probably not. Right. Anyhow, so the Marlins went through the expansion rules. 1990, they were awarded a team alongside Denver, Colorado. So, the Marlins were going to play in Pro Player Stadium where the Miami Dolphins were playing and have the teal monster, something like the Red Sox with their green monster, but the teal monster to make up for the lack of space in the field. So they did all that, and the Marlins drafted expansionally well, and they took a 46-year-old Charlie Huh, who was the last knuckleballer for a while, and he threw knuckleballs and helped the Marlins beat the Dodgers in the first ever game. Strangely enough, the Marlins were passed off for nothing, but by 1997, ownership actually had the money and decided to make a free agent splash and pick up people like Moises Alou, Charles Johnson, and Bobby Bonilla. So that's what they did. They basically bought the World Series. That's what there's actually a book called the Year the Marlins Bought the World Series, and that was 1987. So they did all that in the LCS. They were supposed to lose to the Atlanta Braves, but the Braves somehow couldn't beat these guys in their fifth season. Yeah, their fifth season. And then the Marlins took on the Indians in one of the best World Series around in 1997. But all of a sudden, the Marlins ended up winning Game 7 on home turf. They had to play in the snow in Cleveland, but yet they won Game 7. They came back in the ninth inning off of Jose Mesa, scored the tying run, and then Tony Fernandez just had to make that boo-boo that allowed the Marlins to eventually score the winning run. The Marlins then blew up the team after finances and all that, sold off a lot of their players. They had Mike Piazza for 10 days, but yet they had to get rid of him. And that's when the Mets got him. So the Marlins were basically the 21st century Philadelphia A's, as the A's would win titles, but then have to sell off their players because of financial problems, rebuild, and then they pick up players, and then they have to get rid of those players. So that's hard. 2003, the Marlins pulled off a rabbit out of their hat. Jeff Torberg, who just recently passed away, was the manager for the Marlins, but unfortunately, though, he was replaced by Jack McKeon after a terrible start. And McKeon somehow got the Marlins not only to the playoffs, but to the World Series. They should not have beaten the San Francisco Giants in the LDS, who were the defending national champs. They definitely should not have beaten the Cubs in the NLCS because, the Bartman play and all that. Maybe the Cubs should have won Game 5 in Miami. That would have helped. Or at least produced better in Game 7. I mean, they showed up in Game 7, at least. But yeah, the Marlins were in the World Series against the Yankees and were supposed to get taken out by the powerful Bronx Bombers. Everyone was cheering for the Yankees. Unfortunately, though, Josh Beckett threw a couple of complete games and the Marlins won in 6 games and shocked everyone. What even pissed off Canadians, or Montrealers in essence, is the fact that Jeffrey Loria managed to finagle himself. He bought the Expos, but then in a massive move, he bought the Marlins. John Henry, who was the Marlins owner, would become owner of the Red Sox, and Major League Baseball would possess the Montreal franchise and basically just run them to the ground for the next few years before Washington was ready to have them. Still to this day, fuck Jeffrey Loria and fuck Bud Selig. Sorry, that's how I feel. So yeah, it was Loria getting 2 World Series titles. The Marlins' next playoff game was in 2020. Of course, I'm not talking about the 2020 season because, that's COVID. And the best on best weren't really there. And it was a short schedule, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, so let's talk about the Marlins' most recent postseason appearance in 2023. So the 2023 Marlins season was the 31st season for the Marlins franchise and the 12th as the Miami Marlins. They played at Lone Depot Park, which sat on the old Miami Orange Bowl site. And, the Orange Bowl was a great football stadium for both the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins. Skip Schumacher, former St. Louis Cardinal who won a World Series with them, actually was the manager. The Marlins actually started off great with 12 straight one-run games to start the season. That sets a record. The Marlins, when they beat the Nationals September 3rd, actually won their 70th game, which actually was better than the 2022 season. And then after beating the Brewers September 24th, they got their 81st win, meaning that it was the first time since 2009, 14 years, and when they were called the Florida Marlins, that the Marlins franchise would actually be a non-losing season. And then September 30th, they shocked everyone by making it to the playoffs. What was creepy is their home attendance was only 14,355, and it's a spacious stadium. 14,000, fuck. That's just terrible. But one of the biggest moves was when the Marlins hired Kim Nee, NG, as general manager, becoming the first female general manager in baseball history. So anyway, the off season would be huge. The Marlins would have to watch for the pitch clock between pitches. Good thing I said that instead of the other thing. The limited pickoff attempts per plate appearance, the defensive shifts, larger bases, and let's not forget the fact that they have to pitch to 3 batters unless it's to the end of the inning, and then they don't have to. So the Marlins were third in the NL East. The Braves crushed it with 104 wins 2 years after they won the World Series. The Phillies won 90. The Marlins would win 84. The Braves would be the top division leader with 104 wins. The Dodgers second, the Brewers third. The Marlins were actually in a dead heat with the Arizona Cardinals, or the Diamondbacks. But the Marlins on head-to-head, 4-2, Marlins were better head-to-head. They got the second wild card position. The Diamondbacks snipped the Cubs at the finishing line, finishing with the third wild card spot, and the Phillies were the top wild card team. Miami struggled against Atlanta. Well, who wouldn't? They struggled against their expansion cousins, Colorado, going 2-5. They were 11-2 against the Nationals. And against the American League, they swept Boston, they swept Kansas City, they swept the Angels, they swept Oakland. But thankfully, they lost 2 out of 3 against Toronto. Yes, I'm biased, whatever. So anyway, the Marlins had some great pitchers. Sandy Alcantara, Matt Barnes, Johnny Cueto, Chichi Gonzalez. And no, that's the golfer's Chichi Rodriguez. Uh, Jesus Lucerdo, Matt Moore, Sean Nolan, AJ Puck, David Robertson. Man, they had so many pitchers. They only had two catchers, Nick Fortes and Jacob Stallings. Luis Reyes, Josh Bell, John Birdie, Garrett Cooper, Yuri Gurriel, Juan Segura, Joey Wendell, the powerful infielders. The outfielders, Jazz Chisholm, Azavel Garcia, and Jesus Sanchez and Hoyer Soler. So yeah, these guys were pretty dominant and all that. Soler hit 36 home runs to lead the Marlins, and Brian De La Cruz had 78 RBIs to lead the team. Pitching wise, the weird thing about the Marlins is only one guy got to double-digit wins. That was Luzardo. Braxton and Garrett got 9 wins. Tanner got 9 wins. They had so many pitchers, it wasn't funny. In March and April, they started 16 and 13. One game below 500 in May. June, they crushed it with 11 games above 500. July and August, not so well, but September, October, 17 and 11. They went to the postseason and all of that, but got crushed by the Phillies in the two-game wild card series, 4-1 and 7-1. So let's explain everything here. The rules were simple for the postseason in 2023. The three division winners in each league and the top three non-division winners in each league qualify for the playoffs. The top two division winners would get buys to the ALDS or the NLDS, and the other teams would play in the wildcard series. So Baltimore in the AL won 101 games, took first. Houston took second at 90. They actually tied Texas, but because of the head-to-head, the Astros won the division and the 2 seed. Minnesota won the AL Central and had to play in the wildcard series. Tampa won 99 games, the second best in the American League, but guess what? They had to play in the wildcard series. Texas with 90 wins got the 5th seed, and Toronto nipped it for spot number 6. And no, well, I already done the Blue Jays. And no, I won't do one on the 2023 Blue Jays failed opportunities. In the National League, the Braves won 104, Dodgers were second, Brewers were 92. They had to go to the wild card. Phillies won 90. Marlins took the 5 seed because of the head-to-head with Miami. In real life, the Phillies at the 4 seed crushed the Marlins in Divine Powder, 11-2 combined. Went on to win the NLDS against the Braves in 4 games. And then the Diamondbacks took them out in 7 games, in which the Phillies, despite winning the first 2 games in Arizona, lost the last 2 games in Arizona. And Texas, the 5 seed, beat the 6 seed Diamondbacks to win the World Series, one of the most shocking World Series of all time. So we're going to take a look, and we're going to see how the Marlins would have done against the Braves. Would they strike gold, or would they strike oil? Or sulfur. Anyway, let's find out. All right, so the Marlins, should they have beaten Philly, would have played the Atlanta Braves because that's how it was set up. The winner of the 4-5 matchup would face number 1 Atlanta. So Jesus Luzardo would start game 1, and Atlanta, in real life, Spencer Strider started game 1 of the NLDS. So Strider would have pitched game 1. Of course, we all know Philly beat Atlanta, so all that. So yeah, here we go. Game 1. Saw the Braves crush the Marlins 13-2. Michael Harris II hit a home run to right field that barely clears the wall. Hey, that's the name of my brother-in-law. Marcell Ozuna would hit a 2-run home run to make it 3-0. The former Marlin. Then the Braves added more in the bottom of the 4th. Orlando Arcia hit a ground rule double to score Austin Riley and Eddie Rosario. Acuna hit a single to score Arcia. 6-0. And then it was 8-0 after Harris went deep off Soriano. And then Floro had to come in. So it was 8-0. The Marlins were doing terribly until the top of the 8th after Chisholm grounded out. Garrett Cooper got a home run. That was only the second hit of the day by the Marlins. The Braves would crush it in the bottom of the 8th. Sean Murphy hit it. RBI double score Harris. Marcell Ozuna took a bases loaded walk to score Murphy. Ozzie Abias hit a 2 RBI single to score Acuna and Olsen. And then Arcia gets an RBI ground out. Marlins did score a second run as John Birdie went deep, but it didn't matter. Spencer Strider went 8 innings, and then A.J. Smith-Shawver, what a name, pitched the 9th. The Marlins had the over for 5, and then George Soriano came in for a few batters, couldn't get anyone out, got the infinite ERA, and then Dylan Floro had to come in. So game 1 would have went to the Braves. Game 2 in real life had Max Fried on the mound, and it was the crafty veteran Sandy Alcantara who would pitch Game 2. And the Marlins got better this time, 3-1. As Jacob Stallings hit an RBI double score Chisholm, and Segura hit a double score Stallings. So it was 2-0 Marlins. And then 3-0 on an RBI single by Arias. The Braves would get off their duffs in the seventh inning when Arcia hit a single. But other than that, nothing else. Pope came in for the save. Riley struck out. Abias flew out. Rosario singled. Arcia hit a single, first and second, but Harris grounded out. Gabe set badge Marlins. Fried went 6. Kirby Yates went 1. Joe Jimenez went inning 2/3, and Jesse Chavez, the former Blue Jay, with the last out. Alcantara 8 innings. AJ Puck the save. So let's head to Lone Depot Park for Game 3, and it was Brandon Garrett versus Bryce Elder. They went with a 3-man rotation. The Braves did in the LDS in real life. And Game 3 saw the Marlins crush it 7-0 against the Braves, as Chisholm hit an RBI single in the bottom of the first. And then Stallings hit a double in the second to score De La Cruz, and Sanchez grounded out into an out. It was 3-0 for the longest time until the seventh when they really went deep. Arias singled, Soler struck out, Chisholm singled, and then Jimenez came in. Cooper hits that's a pitch to score Arias, and then De La Cruz hit a 3-run home run to force Dodd to come into pitch. So it was 7-0. Garrett went 6 innings, and Tanner Scott went 2, and George Soriano went 9 innings. Bryce Elder went 5, Kirby Yates in an inning and third. Joe Jimenez could not get anyone out, so Dylan Dodd had to come in. So at 2-1, the Braves were desperate. Strider versus Luzardo for Game 4. And it is the Braves that win 10-5 to force Game 5 in Atlanta. Remember, this is the LDS. This is not LCS like normal. This is the LDS, so it's best of 5. Sean Murphy went TP2 in the first. And then Riley hit a home run. And then Harris singled to score Rosario and Arcia. Cooper singles to score Arias. Arcia gets a single to score Rosario. 5-1. Rosario 2-run home run to score Nardi. And then Floro came to pitch. Acuna gets a single to score Arcia. But the Marlins came back in the bottom of the 8th after Shaw's Soffer came in. Jose Soler hits a 3-run home run to put Kirby Yates on. De La Cruz doubles to score Chisholm to make it 8-5. But then Sean Murphy gets a 2 RBI single off Chargois to make it 10-5. Luzardo went 6, Tanner Scott went 1. Nardi couldn't get anyone out. Dylan Floro went in third, and JT Chargot. Spencer Strider only went 7. Then Shaw Sauver went out. Yates 2 outs. Joe Jimenez 1 out, and then Jesse Chavez 2 outs. So it's 2-2 headed to Game 5. Max Fried, Sandy Alcantara. Who will win Game 5? We have. This can't be right. 27-4? Are you real? This game really gives me the creeps. But yeah, the Marlins lost in Game 5. So the Braves would have faced the Diamondbacks and maybe would have won the World Series bid. But yeah, 27-4. That can't be right. How the hell was it 27-4? The first run was scored in the second inning. Mandelson made it 1-0. And then Sean Murphy hit a home run down left field line to make it 2-0. And then Marcell Ozuna made it 4-0. Okay. And then in the bottom of the fourth, Acuna hits a single to score Harris. Sanchez makes a mistake, and Murphy scores. And then Sanchez goes deep, 3-run home run, 6-3 to try to make up for it. But Austin Riley singles make it 7-3. Garrett Cooper makes it 7-4. And then the 6th. Murphy walks, Acuna walks, Olsen goes deep, it's 10-4. Soriano comes in to pitch. Osuda grounds a single. Riley strikes out. Albus singles. Rosario strikes out. Arcia singles, bases loaded, and then Harris hit a grand slam. Floro has to come in. Murphy walks. Acuna goes deep. Olsen gets plunked at Osuna. So 16-4. Arcia got a single to score a run. Acuna 2-run home run. Osuna RBI double. Albies RBI single. Floro making a bad pitch. Score Riley. Arcia scores Albies with a double. Murphy with a single score Arcia. And Olsen 3-run home run. 27-4. 27-4. Can you believe it? Max Fried went 7 innings. Shaw Soffer went 2. Look at all these RBIs. Only Rosario didn't get an RBI. 7 RBIs by Matt Olson, 5 by Acuna Jr. Alcantara went 5 innings, gave up 10 runs. Wow. Soriano gave up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Floro gave up 10 runs in an inning, 2/3. Johnny Cueto came in and gave up 3 runs in a third. And then Brian Hoey had to come in. But yeah, the Braves, the Marlins would have been skunked by the Braves. The Braves would have had the momentum and maybe win the World Series. I think they would have won the World Series because they would have had the momentum and not have those pesky Phillies on their side. So yeah, Atlanta probably would have won the World Series. So we'll just end it at this because it's Marlins based. So there, nah. Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm gonna do